Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rux, I'm Western Tropical Astrologer, and today we're going to be talking about the full moon in Taurus. This is coming up on the 15th of November. It is happening at 24 degrees of Taurus, and time-wise, it's happening at 9:28 p.m. GMT time, so you can adjust that for your own time zone. Now, going back to the fact that the full moon is happening at 24 degrees of Taurus, what does that mean? It means that if you have planets or angles in your natal chart, or important points such as the North Node, around 24 degrees of fixed signs, you're going to feel this lunation the most. What are the fixed signs, you might ask? Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. There are going to be some people who are going to really like this full moon, maybe even more so than others. Those of you who have planets or angles around 24 degrees of the following, you're gonna like this lunation. So I'm speaking to those of you who have planets or angles around 24 degrees of Pisces, also of Cancer, of Virgo, and of Capricorn. The full moon is going to make some really harmonious supportive aspects with your natal planetary placements, hence why I believe you're going to be amongst those who are the happiest at the time of this full moon. Now, speaking of happy, I've got to say, astrologically, the autumn of 2024, I mean, depending on where you live, if you're in the southern hemisphere, then it's probably spring. The autumn of 2024 in the northern hemisphere, astrologically, has been pretty challenging, pretty intense. We've had some difficult aspects in the sky. We've had some difficult interactions between planetary energies. I actually really like this full moon. It's probably one of my favorite astrological events of November and maybe even of this autumn in general. Why do I like this full moon? And I do want to put it out there. Some astrologers might not agree with me. So I'm throwing it into the mix. I like this full moon because it's going to form a harmonious aspect with Pluto in the sky, with Neptune, so we can expect transformation that feels healing in some shape or form. We can expect relief. We can expect a sense of being able to let go of something that feels really good in a way. It's like, you know, when you've been pushing yourselves like really hard, and all of a sudden it feels like, you know what, take a break, catch your breath, drink some water, get some sleep. That's how I feel like this full moon is going to be like for a lot of people. Neptune is about relaxation, so Neptune is involved in this configuration in the sky. Pluto says, okay, things are continuing to evolve, to transform, to be transmuted. But there's also another thing that I really like. Venus, which is the ruler of the full moon, Venus is going to be in Capricorn, making a supportive aspect with Saturn. So I believe that whatever this full moon brings is probably going to lead to increased stabilization. It's probably going to give us a sense of groundedness, a sense of feeling finally somehow safe and steady and secure. It is probably going to bring us a sense of being, in a way, in control, of being able to plan, of being able to predict almost what's going to come up next. And I read this book. I don't remember the name of it. It was by Gabor Mate, who is amazing, by the way. And he actually said that one of the greatest factors of stress for people is not being able to basically predict how events are going to turn out. I know maybe that sounds like such a cliche, but not knowing, so not having a sense of certainty, not being able to control our environment, not being able to have a tight, firm grip over how our life unfolds. Apparently, that is one of the biggest sources of stress for people in general, regardless of, I don't know, like background, status, etc. Well, this full moon is giving us a feeling of, you know what, I'm in control, I can plan this, I can commit to something, I can organize my life, I can structure my life in a way that feels supportive of my goals. Now, there is a wild card in the mix, and I saved this for last on purpose. This is why some astrologers might not like this full moon, but I do not fall into that category. The moon is going to be conjunct Uranus. Now, we know that Uranus is the planet of surprises, and you know how I just told you, literally, that we're going to feel stable and safe at the time of this full moon because we're going to be able to predict what's coming up and we're going to be able to control it, da-da-da-da-da. Well, that's after we see what comes up at the time of the full moon. 15th of November, maybe a few days before, a few days after, we might actually feel the influence of the full moon. I apologize if I said new moon. We might actually feel the influence of the full moon in Taurus in the 3 days leading up to it, in the 3 days leading up to the 15th of November. Uranus is probably going to bring some surprises. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably going to bring some aha moments, some surprises. For some people, these could be shocking. Uranus likes disruption, it likes innovation, it likes change, it likes to dismantle the status quo, and sometimes that's a great thing. I mean, personally, I believe the status quo should be dismantled quite a lot because it ain't great. It ain't great right now, is it? So Uranus is probably going to shake things up. It's probably going to disrupt the status quo. I know I'm throwing more cliches into the mix. Uranus, however, is also a planet of freedom, liberation, and independence, which again is why I'm a big fan of Uranus. Hey, I'm an Aquarius and Uranus is my modern ruler, right? There will be a feeling of experiencing some sort of a breakthrough, some sort of an aha moment, potentially out of the blue, potentially out of nowhere. We may also feel like we've kind of like taken a leap into the future somewhat. So Uranus likes to accelerate progress and to accelerate change. It's very radical in its manifestation, and it gives us a shove into the future. We are likely to feel free somehow at the time of this full moon, which again, I do believe that for those that are in a place of restriction and constraints and feeling chained up, this is going to be a blessing. This full moon is going to be a blessing. Breakthroughs, scientific breakthroughs are also very, very possible. Technological breakthroughs are very, very possible. Liberation and change that leads to increased stability, I would say that's the theme. Now, we have to remember that Taurus is a sign that is concerned with money and the economy. So at a collective level, at a mundane level, we might actually see some really good news concerning the economy, concerning, I don't know, the state of the world from a financial perspective. Uranus is also associated with technology, so we may see some progress from a technological perspective that impacts in a positive way the economy. Taurus is also a sign that is associated with the physical body. So scientific breakthroughs connected with the physical body are very, very possible with how the body works and so on. Taurus is concerned with food, nature, construction in general, and our possessions. So we can expect things to be shaken up in those spheres, but not necessarily in a manner that makes us dissatisfied, but in a manner that potentially frees us up in some shape or form. So those would be the reasons why I like this this full moon. Plenty if you ask me. Now, I am going to put it out there. Uranus, as I said, does like disruption and change, and it does like to cut ties, to be very kind of like radical in its manifestation. So if something in your life has been stale, stuck, stagnant, and it needs to be shaken up, well, I'm just gonna say it. Uranus is coming in, and I want to frame it this way. It's coming into the rescue, but sometimes, what is the saying? Better the devil you know. Sometimes people are so comfortable in what they know, even if the status quo of their lives is far from ideal, even if it's painful, they'd rather deal with the pain that they know than with the pain of the unknown. Those people are not gonna like this full moon. Because like I said, Uranus comes in and says, you know what, you're getting a clean slate. You're gonna start fresh. You're gonna be free. Do you want to be free? I don't know. Did anyone ask you? Uranus is definitely not going to ask you. The Uranian energy is quite, to an extent, it's quite dictatorial. It is humanitarian. It is progressive. It is independent. It is freedom loving, but it is quite dictatorial. It's not going to come in and ask you, how do you feel about this? Tell me about your feelings. Let's make this slow and steady. No, Uranus does not do slow and steady. It does quick and disruptive. Alas, that is the energy overall of this full moon that we're dealing with. Of course, we're going to go into the update for each of the 12 zodiac signs. Before we do that, let me share a few things with you folks. First and foremost, especially for those of you who are new here, I am a full-time consulting astrologer and I work with clients on a day-to-day basis. It is my passion and I believe my mission to help people reconnect with their soul's intentions with the use of astrology, to help people better understand the timeline of their lives so that they can make the most of it. And if you want to work with me, you can find me on my website, which is writteninthestars-astrology.com. That is writteninthestars-astrology.com. I've also left the link in the description box of the video and also in the pinned comments. You can go straight to the services section, and if you're a new client, a first-time client, you can go straight to the 1 hour 15-minute Zoom consultation. If you're an existing client, you have other options, such as the year-ahead forecast if we haven't spoken in a year or in over a year, and also the 30 minutes follow-up consultation if you want to do a quick check-in or if you have a specific area that you want us to dive deeper into, such as a specific relationship. So those are the options for existing clients. Readings with me have a little bit of a waiting time. When I'm filming this, 23rd of October, I'm taking bookings for the last week of November, the last part of November, and I've also already started taking bookings for December. So the waiting time is generally around a month to a month and a half. writteninthestars-astrology.com. That is where you can find me. That is where you can book your personal astrological consultation with me. If you're wondering when is it a good time to get an astrological reading, an astrological consultation, I dare say that it's always a good time to better understand ourselves, to better understand why we're here, what are our goals, what is our purpose, how we can fulfill our potential, but from a more and like time-sensitive perspective. If, for example, you're at a crossroads, if you are looking to make a big decision, if you're feeling potentially stuck, if you are looking to make a change, if you're potentially feeling lost or confused in a specific sector of your life, if you're thinking, what am I doing with my career? Am I headed in the right direction? What's coming up? How can I best tap into my talents, my resources, my skills? How can I put them to use? If you're wondering what's happening with your relationship sector, if you're looking to see when you could potentially meet someone significant or when your relationship is likely to evolve in some shape or form, those would all be really, really good times for you to consider an astrological consultation. My specialty is both natal chart interpretation as well as forecasting, because hey, here we are. Forecasting is probably one of my favorite parts about astrology. I also do astrocartography, so relocation astrology. We look at the astrocartography. We also look at relocated charts to assess if you were to move somewhere, how would that feel? How would your life look like? I also do relationship astrology, so focused on both compatibility as well as understanding your relationship potential. Vocational astrology is also something that I'm really, really passionate about because I feel like astrology is almost like this manual for life. And why why not use it to its utmost capacity if we want to make once again, the most of this lifetime? You know where to find me. Without further ado, I'm going to go into the updates for each of the 12 zodiac signs. And please, 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 especially if you're new here, remember to listen to the update for your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, you can listen to the update for your sun sign. But if you know your rising sign, if you know your ascendant, that is the update that I recommend listening to, just because these general kind of like horoscopes are created with the rising sign in mind. These general forecasts are created with the rising sign in mind. And remember, of course, that this is a general forecast. It's not a personal astrological consultation, so you cannot expect everything to resonate with you. And obviously, astrology is not clairvoyance. Astrology is symbolically and archetypally predictive and descriptive. It doesn't predict exact material manifestation. So please, if you want to make the most of this type of content, take away more than anything the symbolism of what we're discussing, of what I'm sharing, and apply that to your life. Obviously, you have free will. Nothing and no one and no force is ever going to be able to take your free will away. So without further ado, Aries suns and Aries risings. My dear Aries, 15th of November, also active 3 days before, 3 days after, you've got a full moon activating your financial axis. This full moon in Taurus is activating your second house of income and your 8th house of other people's money. Now, what I'm seeing here is a few things. First and foremost, some auspicious results, I believe, from a financial perspective. If you've been building up your budget, if you've been saving money, if you've been, planning to make a big financial move, if you've been budgeting, if you've been looking to get rid of like credit card debt, for example, this is it. This full moon is very supportive. It does feel like you can free yourselves, Aries, of some sort of financial burden in some shape or form, because things are going really well, Aries, when it comes to your material situation. You could be getting paid around this time. That's also very possible. So if you're expecting anyone to pay you, like a client, a contractor, the money is probably going to make its way to you. Speaking of clients, speaking of collaborators, this could also be the time when you sign a very lucrative contract. So from a financial perspective, this is going to pay really, really well. Now, I did mention that you may pay off some of the money that you owe to others using this sort of win from a financial perspective. That is not a bad idea, once again, but alas, you are completely free to do with your money whatever you please. Surprise wins from a financial perspective. I'm gonna put it out there. This seems to be the theme of the full moon. Potentially unexpected changes when it comes to your sources of income. That is also a possibility, Aries. There is a chance that an existing maybe collaboration or partnership that has a financial element to it might fall apart, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It might actually free you up to focus on the projects and the clients and the maybe sectors of your life that don't, how should I say, don't squeeze you empty of emotional energy and allow you to make the most from a material perspective, to make the most of them. You could also break up, let's put it this way, with someone who has a say in your financial situation. So for example, I see people potentially breaking up with their accountant. This could also be the time when you cash in on some investments. It could be a good time to do that, but again, this is not financial advice. You are completely responsible for how you manage your money. Unexpected appreciation is also a big theme at the time of this full moon, so you might, out of the blue, receive some really nice compliments and potentially even a bonus. You seem to be valued and appreciated in your professional life, and you probably didn't see this coming, I'd say. So overall, I'm just gonna put it out there. I like it. I absolutely like this this full moon. One thing that I wanted to mention, however, if you are signing any sort of like partnerships and collaborations, my recommendation is to make sure that you read very carefully the contracts and the terms and conditions of what you're signing up to, because there is going to be a mutable T-square in the sky between Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury. So there is a chance that things, I don't know, there could be mistakes in the contract, or there could be hidden clauses. So you do not want to, I apologize, deal with that later. Taurus, my lovely Taurians, this full moon puts the spotlight on you. You are the star of this lunation. 15th of November, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This full moon activates your relationship axis, and again, it puts the spotlight on you. I'd say you seem to be experiencing a breakthrough, a sense of relief, and of being free, of being liberated from potentially very demanding, maybe connection, relationship, collaboration. You could actually decide to distance yourselves from someone, my dear Taurians, around this time. Someone who's been sucking you dry energetically and emotionally, I dare say. Now, you could just reassert your boundaries. That is a possibility. You could also have a little bit of an aha moment as to how you no longer want to be perceived by people in your life. So you could be potentially taking stock of the roles that you've been fulfilling in your life so far, Taurians, and you might feel like, you know what, I am done with this. I no longer want to be anyone's, I don't know, like nanny for instance. I no longer want to fulfill this role for certain people in my life. I am saying goodbye to it. I am saying no to it. You also seem to free yourselves, Taurians, of potentially the sense of control that someone had over you, or you might be able to read through someone's manipulation, or manipulatory acts, let's say. And you're like, nope, I'm done. I'm free. Thank you and goodbye. You also seem to have a bit of an aha moment. It's a moment of enlightening that you're going through, Taurians, at the time of this full moon, in terms of the big picture of your life, in terms of what is the meaning of life for you, in terms of the direction in which you want to grow, and in terms of what it is that you need to free yourselves of. And liberation from certain people seems to be the theme. You might also free yourselves, Taurians, of some old limiting beliefs and perceptions that you had about yourselves, essentially. There is a possibility that there could be some surprise travel making its way to you, or surprising, but probably quite pleasant and enjoyable and unexpected, again, surprising news coming from abroad, or coming from a court of law, or coming from an academic institution, I'd say. Now, if you are agreeing to anything, or if you're letting go of anyone, some people, I do want to put it out there, some, especially Taurus risings, and this full moon is not sufficient for this to happen, but some Taurus risings might break up with someone in their life. It could be an actual like romantic relationship. It's not mandatory, but it is a possibility. If you do that, you might feel absolutely 100% free, and it could feel very good and very empowering. Now, going back to if you're signing anything in a legal environment, if you're agreeing to anything, if you're signing a contract, if you're, I don't know, like breaking a contract, I would make sure that you are fully aware of the financial implications, because there is a little bit of confusion, or kind of like incomplete maybe data or stats or facts or numbers that you might have around finances, just as an FYI. My dear Geminis, Gemini suns and Gemini risings, 15th of November, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This full moon puts the spotlight on your axis of service, and especially on your 12th house, which is also the house of mental health. Geminis, I feel like you're potentially completing some sort of a work-related project, a project that was maybe in service to others. I feel like you're completing a big set of tasks around this time. And this full moon is saying, you gotta rest, you gotta stop, you gotta take a break, you gotta take it easy. There is also a possibility that there could be some elements coming to the surface connected with your job, connected with your day-to-day work, but also potentially connected with your health and mental health that you didn't see coming. So this could be very much an out of the blue situation. You're like, oh, I didn't know that this person was leaving, for example. So someone could leave from your team at work, and that could take you by surprise. Or you may realize that some people in the workspace have been hiding certain things from you, and all of a sudden you discover this and you're like, wow, where is this coming from? It also feels like you could, without necessarily intending to, so again, quite out of the blue, you could bump into something that was causing financial and general psychological, mental turmoil and turbulence in your life, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, here's the thing that was causing this mayhem. I need to get rid of it. So I do believe you're probably going to get rid of some things. This could be a really good time to do a big decluttering, my dear Geminis. I do believe you could get rid of some stuff, donate some things, clear out your space, especially if you have any sort of like hoarding tendencies. You could also become quite aware of your tendencies to self-sabotage, especially when it comes to finances, but also when it comes to intimate relationships. And as a result, you might decide, okay, you know what, I'm going to change this. I'm going to do things differently moving forward. There is a possibility that you might feel a sense of relief around this time, Geminis, but also a sense of being drained and exhausted at the same time, which is why I recommend taking it easy, slowing down, let's say. Last but not least, you could realize that you've been having someone from behind the scenes supporting you, and you didn't even know how much it kind of like cost them, or what a big toll it was having on them, it was taking on them, and you might realize that and be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make things better. I'm gonna change things. Cancerians, Cancer suns and Cancer risings. 15th of November, active 3 days before, 3 days after. You've got a full moon in Taurus. I think Cancerians, you are going to really like this full moon because it's activating your 11th house of goals, plans for the future, friendship, community, and also the 5th house of fun, enjoyment, entertainment, you know, good stuff. So, my dear Cancerians, my fellow Cancerians, let's say, because I'm a Cancer rising myself, this could be a time for celebration. Unexpectedly, you might actually achieve some sort of a big goal. You might also hear from a friend. They could have some really surprising, disruptive, but also really, really happy news. So a friend could tell you all of a sudden, wow, Rux, I'm talking to me now. Rux, I'm getting engaged. Woohoo, you're invited to the wedding. So there could be some unexpected news from a friend, but it could be good news, I'd say. Pleasant, enjoyable celebrations with a group of people, potentially all of a sudden, out of the blue, might come your way. I feel like you could also achieve a goal. And as a result of achieving a goal at this time, which is probably going to make you really happy, it could be a joint goal, maybe a goal that you had together with a partner. It could be a business partner. It could be a life partner. As a result of achieving this goal, your plans for the future are going to change. So you have to kind of like make new plans for the future. Friends might make their way to you with some sort of like unexpected opportunity for collaboration. It could be an opportunity to collaborate on a project, maybe long term. A sense of being free and liberated, maybe, from some sort of like challenging energy in your circle of friends, but potentially also when it comes to the area of children, could also come up, could also feature at the time of this full moon. An unexpected opportunity to sign a lucrative business contract is also very possible at this time. Last but not least, if you want to organize something for the group, if you are in charge of, I don't know, organizing an event around this time, or it doesn't have to be for your friends, it could be for like a work-related community, do expect plans to change. That probably goes without saying with Uranus in the mix, but that is not necessarily a bad thing. So there could be some changes at the very last moment. There could be some disruption of the existing plan, of the existing, I don't know, agenda for the day, for the event, if you're, as I said, if you're organizing anything. But that is not a bad thing. That's actually likely to result in things going even better, if you ask me. Last but not least, there is a possibility that you might have to travel at short notice. Unexpectedly so. So you might need to kind of like reorganize things like work-wise, day-to-day wise, and so on. Leos, Leo suns and Leo risings. 15th of November, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This full moon activates your house of career, public status, and public reputation, and your house of home, family life, and living situation. First and foremost, Leos, have a think about what was going on in your professional life, in your career sector, and also in terms of your public life in general, not just professionally, in May of this year, especially around the 7th of May of this year, because this full moon could bring things to a culminating point, to a peak. You could see some big results. Speaking of results, I do believe that some Leos could receive some unexpected, surprising, but also probably quite useful and productive and exciting news from your career sector, from a boss, I'm thinking. If you've been applying for a promotion, for example, if you wanted to like step up professionally, if you applied for another job with, I don't know, like better pay, higher status, or something like that, you're probably gonna get it, Leos. There is also a possibility that leadership could change within your existing company, maybe without you having like a clue about it. It could be, again, all of a sudden, shock, surprise, I don't know, the company's being sold or something like that. You're likely to benefit from it. If anything, I believe you're probably going to enjoy the new working with the new team in the leadership space even more. There is a sense of you achieving something really important professionally at the time of this full moon. It could be the culminating point of some of the efforts that you've been putting towards growing career-wise since May of this year. An unexpected but definitely worth considering offer could also make its way to you. Your status is improving, both professionally as well as in the public sphere. You could feel very much in the spotlight, and not just in the professional sense, but in general in the spotlight, especially if you're working with technology. I mean, I'm thinking, I don't know, let's say you have a YouTube channel, for instance. It could feel like overnight, all of a sudden, your channel has kind of like grown in popularity, and all of a sudden you get an influx of new subscribers, for example. Whatever you're doing in the career space, and whatever you're doing in the public space, my recommendation would be to tap into your inner rebel and to be an actor for change and for progress, because that's probably going to work out best, and that's probably going to serve you best. There is a possibility that at an industry level, especially in the space that you're working in, there could be some sort of massive breakthroughs. And I do believe that's probably going to make your life easier overall. Whatever's going on in the career sector seems to be taking you away from home, potentially at short notice. So you might need to, I don't know, like change plans at home. Let's say if you had made plans with a family, if you had made plans to, I don't know, like spend time with them, if you had, for example, I don't know, like planned to go see them for like Thanksgiving or something like that, there is a chance that you might need to adjust your plans at short notice for a good cause. I believe you're quite happy with the cause. Is the family happy? I don't know. Maybe some of them are not, I'd say, but alas, it is what it is. Virgos, Virgo suns and Virgo risings. What's going on? 15th of November, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This full moon in Taurus activates your axis of learning and traveling. So, a few things. Potentially, all of a sudden, out of the blue, you might need to travel at short notice. Some of you might need to change your travel plans at short notice. There could be disruptions of existing plans, there could be cancellations, there could be unexpected elements or events that require you to be quite flexible. However, you don't seem to be mad about it at all, because Venus, which is the ruler of the full moon, is in your 5th house. So if you do need to, like, I don't know, like change your travel plans, it could actually allow you to spend more time with the people that you love. Or let's say you are, I don't know, on holiday and your plane gets canceled and you have to spend another, I don't know, like couple of days in, or like another day or so in the location that you're on holiday in, and you might end up really having the absolute best of time. So if anything does change in terms of like travel plans, my recommendation would be to literally enjoy the space that it's making in your life. There is a possibility that you might also achieve some sort of an important result, and that might give you a sense of relief from an educational perspective. So I don't know, maybe you're handing in an exam, an essay, your final thesis, and you feel relieved and you're like, yes, it's done. I can move forward with my life. I can have a lot of fun. So you seem to be free of something that you've been putting a lot of energy into, potentially from an educational or academic space around this time. And I repeat, that does seem to create room in your life for enjoyment. There is a possibility that a romantic partner, or generally someone that you love, but especially a romantic partner, could surprise you with an unexpected maybe like gift that involves traveling, or an unexpected maybe outing, maybe to like a cultural event, maybe going to like a theater play or the opera or something like that. And even though it messes with your existing plans, I do believe that you are probably going to really, really, really like it, really enjoy it. If you have kids, kids might change their preferences when it comes to their education, and this could initially take you by surprise, but ultimately it does look like they're on the right track, and they're much more likely to be invested in the long-term educationally in something that they enjoy, rather than doing something that is not aligned with who they are. Last but not least, you could get some sort of a surprise sense of relief due to a legal maybe, or yes, let's call it legal outcome that makes its way to you. So if you are waiting for the final outcome from a court of law, for instance, you're probably going to get it around this time. And even though maybe it's sooner or earlier, or not happening at the time that you expected it to happen, I feel like you are somehow, I repeat, liberated, and it creates the mental space for you to focus on your loved ones, kids, romantic love, your passions and hobbies, and so on. There is a chance also that siblings or in-laws might have some surprising news for you around this time, but once again, even though this might come as a shock, you seem to somehow kind of like benefit from it, or it seems to contribute to creating maybe like quite an enjoyable situation in your life. I'm just gonna give you an example. Let's say, I don't know, your in-laws were supposed to come visit, and you are really unsure about how things were gonna turn out with, I don't know, them for like a week in your house. And now they're saying, no, we've changed our plans. We're not coming again for Thanksgiving. And you're like, yes. That is just one example. Remember that astrology doesn't predict concrete manifestation. It's just symbolically and archetypally descriptive and predictive. My dear Libras, Libra Suns and Libra Risings, 15th of November, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This full moon in Taurus activates your financial axis, but especially the house of other people's money, other people's values, debts, taxes, and intimacy, as well as transformation. So I believe Libras, especially Libra Risings, that you might need to address the source of crisis in your life around this time, around the time of this full moon. Now, that doesn't sound like fun. You're like, Rux, you said this was a good full moon. You said this was an auspicious full moon. I'm like, yeah, it is. If anything, you may realize, okay, this is the element in my life coming from someone else. Maybe it's someone else's problem. Maybe it's someone else's issue. Maybe it's their worries. Maybe it's their energy. This is the element in my life that has been causing turmoil, turbulence, and crisis. And now I can tackle it head on. I can address it. I can do something about it. I can free myself of it. So it does feel like you could free yourselves, Libras, of something that has been causing chaos in your life. You could also free yourselves around this time of debts. This could also be a good time to pay debts, taxes, things like that. It is also potentially a good time to look at your investments if you do have investments. Again, this is not financial advice. Please take the advice of your financial consultant, advisor, etc. And obviously you're completely responsible for what you do with your money. But this could be a good time to look at your investments and say, okay, is it time for me to take my wins? Is it time for me to maybe invest in something else? Is it time for me to like sell part of my investments? This could be a time of good news, maybe unexpectedly so, potentially coming from parents or a family member saying, oh, we're gonna gift you something. We're gonna gift you, I don't know, like a lump sum of money. And you are once again able to potentially direct some of that towards taxes, towards debts, towards credit cards or things like that. If you do receive a gift, it could also be something that is quite useful in the home. You could be gifting others something, I will say, and potentially maybe helping others be free of their financial burdens. I do believe it could, however, be just a bit of a one-off so that you maybe help them deal with this issue, and then you're kind of like telling them, listen, you're responsible, you have to address this yourself in the future. If you're waiting for news connected with loans, mortgages, and things like that, they may come potentially out of nowhere, out of the blue, maybe earlier than you thought they would come. They could surprise you. They could take you a little bit by surprise. The Uranian energy involved in this full moon is quite a wild card energy. However, I would see whatever piece of news makes its way to you from a financial, I don't know, like institution, I would see it as a blessing that gives you peace of mind when it comes to your home life, your family life, your private life. So I would see it as kind of like exactly what you needed around this time. This could also be a good time to get rid of some things from the home, to get rid of some things from around the house that are no longer serving you, that are maybe just kind of like cluttering your space, let's say. Last but not least, you could be signing a financial contract around this time. If you are, and it could be for something connected with home, land, family, property, and things like that. If you are, my big recommendation is to read through the contract, through every single kind of like piece of information with a fine-tooth comb. Just because there's going to be a mutable T-square in the sky at the time between Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury. Jupiter is in Gemini, Mercury is in Sagittarius, so I'm thinking, let's say, I don't know, for instance, you're selling your house and you sign the papers and then you realize, wow, there's a typo here. What do? We have to go back to the solicitors and change it in the contract. Scorpios. Scorpio suns and Scorpio risings. 15th of November, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This full moon puts the spotlight on your 7th house, which is the house of partnerships, connections, collaborations, and relationships. Now, when I say the word relationships, people get all stressed out about it if they're not in a relationship. I'm like, it's okay. This forecast is not just for people who are in a relationship. Now, if an astrological event emphasizes the relationship sector. Now, of course, I'm going to talk to people who are in a romantic relationship first, but this one puts the spotlight on relationships in general. So not just romantic relationships, okay? So with that in mind, please don't forget it, and please don't say that you don't have any relationships, because sometimes, you know, I told you that I read the comments, and I'm not saying that you're commenting this, Scorpios. I mean, I'm only expanding upon this topic just because this time the full moon activates your relationship sector. Sometimes I read the comments and people say, oh, I'm completely alone. I don't have any relationships in my life. I'm like, you have parents, you have children, and some people are going to say, yeah, but no, in the astrology, parents are somewhere else in the natal chart and so on. Yes, that is true. That is true. The 4th house, 10th house is the parental axis. However, the 7th house shows how we approach interactions with others in general, not just when it comes to marriage, long-term partnerships, and so on. For example, the 7th house also refers to one-to-one interactions. For instance, you go to the doctors, or you go to a counseling session, you go to a therapist, or you go to your financial advisor. That is a one-to-one relationship that falls under the remit of the 7th house. Now, explanation over. I apologize for the disclaimer, Scorpios. This full moon is going to put the spotlight on your relationships, partnerships, and collaborations sector. Now, what's going on here? So, for those of you who are in a relationship, there could be some surprising, unexpected, disruptive news making its way to you from a partner. Potentially, all of a sudden, your partner tells you, you know what, I'm going to change my job. I'm going to, sign up for that class and course. I'm going to start my MBA. It could take you a little bit by surprise. And I did not mention education just for no reason. The partner could actually have some unexpected news to share connected with their education. So they might want to pursue additional education. They might have taken an important exam. It could feel like this is coming, again, very much out of nowhere. There could be an element of shock surprise. But whatever the other person has to share with you, Scorpios, I do believe that you can have a really positive, productive, auspicious conversation about it. I do believe if you kind of like take the time to inquire and to ask them about it, you're going to realize, okay, we can work through this. This isn't actually that disruptive in our lives as we thought it would be. So I believe that you're supportive of them, even though initially whatever comes your way from them is like, wow, bam, what is this all about? There could be also a sense of your significant other. I'm referring to romantic relationships, having an aha moment, having a breakthrough, having a moment of enlightenment and of feeling free somehow, feeling free of maybe a sense of like burden, a sense of heaviness, and feeling like, you know what, I'm gonna do things my way. I'm gonna be a rebel. I'm gonna change the aspects of my life that are not working. Speaking of change, your partner could be going through some big changes. They could be connected with their education. They could be connected with potentially maybe whatever involvement they have with the local neighborhood, with the local kind of like environment. It could also have something to do with their siblings, I would say. Your partner might also say, listen, I've decided out of the blue, I'm going to sell the car, or I want to buy a different car. I repeat, I want you to remember, Scorpios, that even though this is apparently coming out of nowhere, you are able to talk through with your partner and find a solution. Now, there is a possibility that someone who you've been working with, someone who you've been collaborating with, it could be your therapist, it could be your accountant, it could be your financial advisor, it could be a consultant of some sorts. They might tell you all of a sudden, we can't collaborate anymore, we can't work together anymore. So there could be some sort of a shakeup in a collaboration, in a partnership, in a relationship that you experience, Scorpios. But ultimately, even though this is unforeseen, so you did not predict this, I believe that you're probably going to be you're going to essentially end up being on good terms with this person. So it's like an amicable split. For example, your therapist might move across the state and they're only doing like in-person consultation, so you will no longer be able to work with them. Speaking of your advisor, your consultant, your therapist, there is a possibility that someone from the outside around this time, it could be your advisor, consultant, therapist, or partner, or business partner, might without you necessarily asking for like specific feedback or without you necessarily expecting it. So again, quite unpredictably, might shed light on a part of you and a part of your life that you are not aware of, that maybe needs to experience some sort of a change, that needs to be kind of like shaken, that needs to be disrupted. And maybe initially you feel reluctant, you're like, like I don't want this, I don't want to see this, I don't want to learn this, I don't want to understand this. But ultimately, if you reflect on it, if you think about it, you're like, this person is actually doing me a great service by showing me what needs to be shaken up, what needs to change, potentially in my interactions with others in particular. Sagittarius. Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings. 15th of November, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This full moon puts the spotlight on your axis of work, service, and health, including mental health. I feel like there could be some auspicious but unexpected news making its way to you from your work sector, from your professional environment, Sagittarians. What could it be? So, for example, some of you could hear out of the blue that, you know what, you're going to be put on this, I don't know, like exciting new project that is going to allow you to grow in new ways, that is going to allow you to, I don't know, like use new technology. And because of that, you're going to get paid more. So there seem to be some positive outcomes, positive results coming up connected with your work, Sagittarians, that impact in a beneficial way your financial sector, in a pleasant way, your financial sector. So an unexpected collaboration, an unexpected job offer, an unexpected maybe opportunity to receive maybe like a bonus or get paid more because you're going to work on something new or on something different. There is a possibility that some of you could get a job offer. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be like a step up in terms of status. It could be a bit of a lateral move. However, from a financial perspective, it could be very attractive, very enticing, and you might be tempted to say, I'm doing this. It's it's happening. Surprising success at work is probably a theme at the time of this full moon. There could also be some unexpected changes in the workspace. Maybe some people leaving, maybe the team being restructured, maybe you discovering that there have been some issues kind of like unfolding behind the scenes, and now they come to your attention and you're like, I didn't know of this. This has come as a little bit of a surprise. But whatever's going on in the workspace, you seem to be benefiting from it. Essentially, you're going to end up being even more appreciated as a result of the changes. You might end up potentially working with people that you enjoy working with more, and you might even end up having better work-life balance, I'd say. Now, from a health perspective, this full moon could feel like a time of being free and liberated from a health-related issue. Of finally having some sort of an aha moment, some sort of a breakthrough, and thinking, wow, I'm so glad that this is done. Maybe it's something that has cost quite a bit. Maybe it's something that has taken a little bit of a toll on your mental health, but now you're like, yes, this is over. I can breathe easily. I can focus on other things. I can focus on my private life. Maybe you need to rest. You might need to rest as a result of something going on in the health space. So I do believe that this can bring some good news health-wise, but at the same time, it feels like it's taking a while for the body to like fully adjust, let's say. You seem to be free of some sort of illness at the time of this full moon, my dear Sagittarians, especially for those of you who have been dealing with something health-wise. If you've been dealing with nothing health-wise, then there's obviously no illness to be free of. But I repeat, this is surprising, this is good, this feels like an extraction of factors that were conducing to maybe like ill health in your life. This could also be the time when you decide to give up on a habit and you're free of it and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna change my routine, I'm gonna give up on this habit so that my health benefits from it. If you've already given up on some things, if you've already changed your routines and habits, Sagittarians, then you could see some really positive results. Let's say you get, I don't know, your blood work done and it's looking fabulous. So yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Whatever's happening, now I'm going to go back to the work side of things for a second. Whatever's happening in the workspace, if you are signing up for anything, if you're saying yes to a new offer or anything like that, please discuss specifics. Because the specifics, the facts, the numbers, the data could be a little bit inconclusive. Capricorns. Capricorn suns and Capricorn risings. My lovely Capricorns, what's going on at the time of this full moon? 15th of November, active 3 days before, 3 days after. Well, I think you're gonna like the full moon overall. Even though you may not necessarily like surprises, but I think there will be some surprises making their way to you, Capricorns, that you're gonna enjoy. So there could be an unexpected, surprisingly good opportunity making its way to you, Capricorns, to have fun at the time of this full moon. Now, I'm laughing, I'm chuckling because I remember that I got a comment at some point saying, oh, whenever you talk about Capricorns, it's all work, 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 work. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's it. You are a very ambitious sign and a very hardworking sign. But alas, this full moon is about fun. This full moon is about enjoyment. It's about entertainment. And there will potentially be, as I said, a surprise opportunity, an unexpected opportunity to let your hair down, to have fun, to feel good. And maybe you had made no plans. So when I say that this could come in out of nowhere, it is very possible. Maybe you have something planned around the 15th of November, but maybe you have no expectations. Maybe you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna go there and see what happens and leave early and just mind my own business. And you go to, I don't know, like a gathering or a party or an event, and you have the best time that you've had in years. So it can turn out that way. What I also like is that Venus, the ruler of the full moon, is in your first house. So there is a possibility that you might also have some sort of pleasant, unexpected surprise coming towards you from a romantic perspective, Capricorns. Now, that could be, for instance, feeling very attractive and feeling like really, I don't know, like liked by someone. If you are single, then you could unexpectedly attract a romantic liaison towards you, and you're probably gonna really enjoy the type of person that you attract, even though maybe you were not like looking for anything. Let's say if you are in a relationship, then your partner could have some sort of again, unpredictable, unexpected surprise for you, and you seem to feel very loved and you seem to feel very appreciated and very special in their life. You could also do the same thing for them. So if you were seeing someone and if you're thinking, you know what, let's just shake things up, let me just surprise them, let me just do something nice out of nowhere, it's probably gonna land really, really, really well with them. Now, speaking of surprises, if you are looking to have kids, this full moon could bring a surprise pregnancy. If you're not looking to have kids, then you do with this information what you want. For those of you who have kids already, your kid could have an unexpected, maybe pleasant surprise for you. I think I've said pleasant surprise many times, so forgive me, I need to find new words. Your kid might come home and say, I've won this, I've won this award, and I've been like, ranked first in my athletics competition at school, and you could be very, very proud of them. And it could also feel like it's very heartwarming for them to share this beautiful moment with you. I'd say this could also be a really good time, my dear Capricorns, to create something. You could actually complete a creative project. It's also a very, very good time to focus on your passions and your hobbies and to give yourselves permission to be surprised, because you might discover that you like some things that you did not think you would like and that they bring you a lot of joy. Aquarius suns and Aquarius risings. My lovely Aquarians, 15th of November, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This one in Taurus is shaking things up in your life, especially in your private life. So I do believe that some Aquarians might leave their home around this time. In what sense? You could move into a new home, you could sell your home. If you've been looking to buy a home, you could potentially unexpectedly find just the right place, just the right property. There could be some kind of like sudden unexpected developments in the home and in the family space and the family life, let's say. For example, I don't know, surprise pregnancy, for instance, or a surprise announcement from a parent saying that they're gonna gift something to you, or a surprise announcement saying that they're, I don't know, gonna move to Spain or something like that. You probably don't see this coming. So surprise from a family member is key at this point in time in terms of theme. But whatever the surprise is, whatever the reveal, the big reveal is, ultimately I see you kind of like embracing it and saying, yeah, you know what, this is great, let's do it. Or I'm fully kind of like supportive, even though I repeat, you probably did not see this coming. There is a possibility that you might hear from your partner, if you are in a relationship, that, I don't know, they're going through like big changes at work and they've been offered a job across the country or outside of the country, and you have to decide, okay, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna move? Are we gonna relocate? Again, this was not part of the plan. I really feel like I have to stress this out. However, it could feel like a wild and exciting and really fun adventure to embark upon. Now, because the theme of this full moon is freedom and liberation, this is a good time to liberate yourselves, Aquarians, of whatever is no longer serving you at home. Be it objects, be it, I don't know, things that you've been like hoarding, be it any sort of like fears that you have in terms of expressing what you truly feel in your interaction with your parents. So we're going into very symbolic territory here. There is a sense of relief. There is a sense of, and especially in relationships with family members at this point in time. If you are experiencing a big surprise reveal at home, you might also need to take into account how that's going to impact your career sector and your kind of like public status and professional life. And that could potentially take a little bit of time to figure out, I dare say. What's clear is that your life is kind of like experiencing a big shakeup. You are being pushed into the future somehow. You are a very future-oriented sign anyway, Aquarius. But this full moon seems to be really emphasizing how change is happening on various different levels at the same time. Pisces suns and Pisces risings. Thank you for sticking around, my lovely Pisceans. 15th of November, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This full moon in Taurus activates your educational axis and the axis of travel. Now, this could be a time when you travel at short notice, maybe also when you have to change your plans to travel at short notice. There is a possibility, especially if you travel by road or train or bike even, that trains could be canceled or they could be rescheduled. There could be some sort of disruption on the road. So if you do need to get anywhere in time, my recommendation would be to have a backup plan and maybe to be a little bit flexible. There is a possibility that someone might change the plans when it comes to, I don't know, like a meeting that was in your diary, that was in your schedule. It could be a colleague, it could be a colleague from work. There could also be some sort of unexpected piece of news making its way to you from siblings or from cousins. Now, you seem to be quite happy for them if they are sharing any news. It could be a big piece of news impacting their long-term goals and plans for the future. It could have something to do with their career potentially, maybe also with their education. I feel like you could be also freeing yourselves, Pisces, around this time of something connected with your preferred mode of transportation. So if you're looking to sell a car, this could be it. If you're looking to buy a car, then all of a sudden someone might, I don't know, like message you and say, I've got just the right thing for you. So it could feel like serendipitously you just bump into exactly what you needed when it comes to, I don't know, like a purchase, I'd say. Speaking of surprises, so if you are waiting for the results on an exam or, I don't know, from like your university or something like that, or if you're taking your driver's license exam, I feel like you could be very, again, surprised, but in a good way. You might not have expected this, but you are probably passing with flying colors. You may not have planned for the result to be this good, for the outcome to be this, good. So unexpectedly, good results, I dare say, connected with exams and education. Speaking of exams and education, if you applied for any sort of like course or PhD or something like that, you could hear news from of that as well. Now, because Uranus is in the mix, I always have a little bit of a I don't know, like a question mark as to how it's going to play out. So you might not see the news coming, but whatever the news is, it seems to be supportive of you achieving your long-term goals and plans for the future in a manner that works for you, my dear Pisces. You could also bump into someone unexpectedly, I'd say, around this time, and change your plans as a result of it and have a really good time. It could be a friend, it could be a colleague, it could be also someone that can help you with something, can kind of like take something off your plate or help you with an issue that you've been dealing with. So sometimes chance encounters or unexpected changes of plans do work in our favor, and I do believe that this full moon is the perfect example for that. I want to thank you, folks, for tuning in for your full moon update. Remember that if you want to work with me, you can find me on my website, which is writteninthestars-astrology.com. I've also pinned the link in the pinned comment, and I've added it to the description box of the video. If you like my content, if you find it interesting, useful, don't forget to share, like, subscribe if you haven't, of course. And if you want to make a donation to my channel, you can use the thanks button underneath the video. Do let us know how the full moon plays out for you and what sort of like surprise big reveals and breakthroughs you're experiencing. I have mentioned this in the past, but I'm going to mention it again. I might not respond to every single comment because there's quite a few of them, but I do read them all. And if you are on Instagram, and if you like Instagram, I do have an Instagram account as well. It's Rux Unbelievable in one word. That is my only account. So if you ever receive messages from people pretending to be me and offering like readings or stuff like that, no, please block and report them, because I only have one account, and the only place where you can purchase my services is writteninthestars-astrology.com. Thank you once again for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye!